So I think we might be live again, unless we've broken LinkedIn, which is quite likely because we've just gone live 3 times in 3 minutes. Just waiting for it to come back online now. By the looks of things, isn't showing me that I'm live on LinkedIn yet, which is interesting. Well, this is very interesting because I think I might have actually broken LinkedIn. If anyone's watching on LinkedIn, could you drop a comment below, because according to LinkedIn I'm not live. So interesting. Whilst this is going, I'm just going to go onto the LinkedIn connection. Interesting. Yeah, not much really happening here. Apologies for those just watching me stare blankly at my my computer screen. So yeah, it seems that if you were to go live 2 or 3 times in quick succession on LinkedIn, they don't like you, or at least don't advertise you. Oh no, we've got a couple of watchers. There we go. We seem to be live. Well, hello to those 3 of you that are watching. Thank you for watching, because didn't even realise that we were live by the looks of things. So anyway, do make yourself known if you're watching. Hello to everybody else. Yes, so I lost my place because I realised that there's an issue with the streaming software. If anyone does LinkedIn Live and other live streaming software out there, that's OBS, which is the streaming software we use to do all these cameras and all this kind of stuff, and for our podcasts, has a habit of freezing up exactly like working again. Hey, there we go. We got a workaround. We fixed it. But it means I'm going to have to keep an eye out for it freezing for some reason. So I'm not too sure why it's freezing, but good to know that it works, the workaround at least anyway. So hello, welcome to the live stream again for the 3rd time today. Yeah, exactly. Where was I going? For those who are using Windows 7 for Windows 2008 R2, there is a way to extend the support for that. You can go to Microsoft and you can buy extended support. Not really recommended, but in extreme circumstances where you have to run Windows 7 or 2008 R2, there is an option there. In terms of the pricing, I'm not actually sure accurately what the pricing is because we've not really looked into it. The Windows 7, I believe, I read is something like that, about £50 or $50, I think I read online. The Windows 2008, so apparently you can't hear me when I'm actually sharing my computer. So there we go. We're still live. Matt, do you want to fix it? Come on camera.
Of course.
This is the techie that's going to fix it all, if we can fix it all. Hello. But yes, effectively, so Windows 2008 R2. If you do want to pay to keep the software running, then I think by the looks of things, it costs you 75% of the full license to buy a 2019 license. There are other options. You can run it in Microsoft Azure. And you can. Do you want to change it now and see if it works? We're not too sure yet. You want to change it?
So yeah, if you
There we go. Well, hey, have you got audio back? Again, although now we've got cam 1, so you need to hide cam 1 or move it below cam 2. Cam 1 go below cam 2. There we go. So if I switch. Now it's frozen. Was that the audio? Oh, okay, cool. 1. Testing audio. Got an inception down going on. Oh, we need boost on there, do we? Yeah. 1. That's kicking it out now. There we go. Think we're safe? I'll change that. That might make it a bit better.
Go.
Well, hey. Don't trip up. Oh, and can you put that back in place when you go out if you can? Awesome. And maybe tell me if the audio is horrible. There we go. Yeah. So sorry about that. We have technical difficulties, obviously. Continue for the fourth or fifth time. Yes, if you're running Windows 2008 or Windows 7, you can extend it. There are ways of doing it. You can pay to extend the support, or you can actually move it into Microsoft Azure. And they will then extend the support for you, I guess free of charge technically. But if I flip back to that, so you can put it into Microsoft Azure, but you are then putting it to Microsoft Azure, so you're of course still paying for it because you're having to pay for it to be run in Microsoft Azure, and that counts for your Windows 7 and your 2008 licenses as well. So yeah, that's just one I wanted to start off with for those that aren't aware that you can actually continue using Windows 7 2008 if you have to. I will definitely heavily say if you have to. It's not really advised nowadays to be running Windows 7 or Windows Server 2008 R2 or Windows 2008 in general, really, because even though you might need to extend the support, other applications aren't going to support it. There's other software manufacturers out here. They are running, obviously they're trying to stay up to date with Microsoft's software versions. They're not going to be developing features for 2008, and in fact they're going to be developing security updates for their products that work on the newer platforms. So the chances are that whilst everything's working now on Windows 7 or 2008, in the next few months as they release updates for the newer operating systems, that it could be broken on your older platform. So just take that into account. Certainly won't be supported unless you're paying the Microsoft support fee, but third-party vendors, they've got no real reason, or they just don't need to support it. So that's just worth being aware of. Also on that topic of end-of-life products, Office 2010, I think it is coming up to end of life. I think it was around October later this year. So if you are using Office 2010, which is probably one of the last products you would have bought outright when you were buying a PC, the old days, when you bought a PC and you pay like 150 or £200 or £300 for an Office license that sits on that PC. From kind of 2013, probably more like 2016 upwards, the Office 365 licensing was becoming a lot more popular, so where you just pay a few pounds per month to license your PC for the actual Office, Outlook, Word, Excel, all of those kind of things. And I've just noticed that we've frozen again, so this really isn't going very well. There we go, got it working again. So yes, so completely lost my train of thought. Yes, so Office 2010. So if you are obviously running Office 2010, you probably are already on Office 365 for things like your email anyway, and your Exchange and your SharePoint. So if you're on Office 365, you just need to upgrade to, say, a business premium license, which will include the entire Office suite for you anyway. So just worth knowing, that's for sure. Other things, yes, Microsoft Ignite. So we were at Microsoft Ignite, which was last Thursday, last Friday, and takeaways from it, really. That's kind of what I wanted to really summarize in a relatively short video today, if we can do. Microsoft Ignite, I actually made the second day only. We had a bit of a customer issue happen on the Thursday, so I had to drive up Thursday night, which was nice in terms of being able to make the second day still. But Yeah, it was mixed feelings, mixed bag in terms of what was actually displayed and presented at Microsoft Ignite. There were some really cool things going on, but equally it was I feel being an MSP ourselves, an IT company, a managed service provider company, I feel that it was geared a lot more towards IT managers, people who aren't in the thick of it day to day, and we see lots of new product updates coming out. Microsoft Teams, of course, is constantly being updated with new features, and lots of those we hear from all the other kind of announcements that go on. So we know a lot of that ahead of time. And lots of the sessions I sat in on, and the other guys sat in on as well, they were just kind of re-going over existing features that were already released or have already been announced. Microsoft Teams in particular, there was 2 sessions back to back, which is essentially part 1 and part 2, but they kind of covered the same thing. In fact, they were using the same presentations, the same videos, the slideshows in both of them. So it wasn't really anything unique and different to what we already knew. On other topics, and I guess this probably shows you more what Microsoft are focusing on for the next year and for the current future. Microsoft Teams, very heavily featured. That was had its completely own separate track for people to kind of, and the track was just a kind of a number of sessions that ran throughout the day. Microsoft Teams, very heavily featured. Microsoft Azure, that was again very heavily featured. That probably had the most sessions, I think, running across all sorts of different technologies and some techie tracks and kind of fundamentals understandings, DevOps. There was quite a lot of different features in there to cover on the day. And what else was there? Microsoft Power Automate, Microsoft Power BI. So Power Automate, for those of you who don't know the 365 suite, again, and applications you might not know you've got. Power Automate is a way you can automate common tasks without having to actually do anything. So if I just flip over to my laptop, which hopefully you can still hear me. So for example, my flows, so this used to be called Microsoft Flow. They've now changed the name to Power Automate, but they haven't yet updated the URL, because you can see up there it's still called flow.microsoft.com. So, which is useful. But yes, essentially with Microsoft Flow, or Power Automate, I'm meant to be calling it now, we have tons of things set up. We've been playing with a few things. One thing in particular we've done recently is our customer feedback automation, which I've actually posted about on the on petemattheson.co.uk, on the blog post on there. I've detailed exactly how we've done it, broken down all the scripts we've used and everything we need. Effectively what happens, if I can just flip back without it freezing, if it's going to unfreeze, possibly, there we go, unfrozen. Effectively what happens is, in the bottom of our emails that a customer receives when a ticket is completed, so when we fix something for a customer, they receive an email saying issue's been fixed, and the bottom of the email will have some smiley faces. It will have, let us know how you feel, happy, sad, crying, those kind of things. And so what happens is someone can click on one of those, that immediately feeds back to us their response. Like IKEA have the smiley faces, is exactly that, but a computer version, not a physical version. Once they've clicked on a smiley face, they can leave some actual feedback, some wording around it if they want to, and that wording again comes back to us. What this Power Automate feedback automation does is it takes that feedback, the comments, and it plumbs it into things like Microsoft Teams, so it shares it with our team so they can see the feedback, they can see the ratings. It means management can pick up the feedback, and they can then give the customer a call if they need to discuss any issues or say thank you. We also do a few other clever things. So we have a email that then goes back to the customers to say thanks for leaving us feedback. Would you mind leaving feedback on the likes of Google or a public place, which is again very good for the marketing and social media and all those kind of things. It also then, what else does it do? Sends it through to our websites, because we've got a little thing called FOMO, which is fear of missing out. That then pops up on the bottom of the website with their comments and shows them kind of, it says, this feedback was left 10 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago or 2 days ago, just to show that we're active and we are doing things and people are leaving actual comments. So that's really good to know. And it just pulls the automation through, pulls the customer feedback through in a way that means that we don't have to worry about people having to sit there and manually go through the testimonials and manually do things with it. It just saves a lot of our time. We've got a few other things on there. Of course, we do quite a lot of YouTube. So we've got some flows in there that will publish things around YouTube, around to our social media platforms, and will just mean it will. I think one of these will actually share it a day later. So we post it out, it goes onto all of our social media platforms, and then a day later it will then reshare that to some other platforms, just in case people haven't seen it. Voicemails, so you get voicemail to email. This platform means that you can, if the camera's going to unfreeze again, if that happens, there we go. Voicemail to email. It's receives the email into a Microsoft 365 inbox, and then basically this flow will pick up the email and the attached WAV file, the actual recording itself. We'll send it through to Microsoft Teams. It will then sit there flashing in Microsoft Teams until someone answers it, and it will send a copy to some various other teams around the company as well. So it's good to be able to use for things like that. And then I've got it's actually a stock one that was built into Microsoft Flow, I think, when it first came out, which is your Have I Been Pwned notifications. If I just flip over quickly, so it's Have I Been PWNED. So if you don't know what that is, if you go onto that, so if you're worried that your email address has been compromised and your password's been leaked, if you can plumb your email address into here, it will tell you straight away where it thinks your account's been compromised. So it will give you, Dropbox and LinkedIn. It gives you kind of popular places that have had data breaches, just so you know that you can then go and change your password. So it's things like that. Have I been pwned? And that flow in particular, all that does is it monitors it, and then if there's been a new breach without my email address on it, I think, or if there's been a new breach detected, it would just ping me an email. So I know, I can keep an eye on the large, big breaches that are worth just knowing about, really, even if I'm not on the list of them. So that's worth knowing about, which is quite handy. Microsoft Flow and Microsoft Power BI. Microsoft Power Automate, Microsoft Power BI, which is their kind of fancy reporting, dashboards, graphs, reports kind of software, but it's all built into 365, all web-based. And you can basically design your reports to pull data out of your various systems. You can interrogate SQL databases or your kind of main line of business applications and pull the data all together. So you could pull together your quoting software to find out the outstanding value of the deals you got open, or the ones that have been closed in the last 30 days, or you can just basically kind of structure it around whatever you need it to be on that one. And Windows Virtual Desktop, which is a very, very, very good IC platform product that's going to be coming out very, very shortly. So I'm just checking out the LinkedIn stream here. It hasn't broken yet or anything. Windows Virtual Desktop. Unfortunately, the Microsoft Ignite had one session on this, and it was the last session that was run for the entire Microsoft Ignite event. And I think it was probably the most widely attended event that they ran, so much so that they said they had to move the event into a larger room to accommodate all of the people that registered on the app. So Microsoft Windows Virtual Desktop is a way where you can, for those customers that are using things like Citrix, you've got kind of a very expensive server farm with all your apps and all your desktops running on it, and all you're using is dumb thing clients to dial in and connect to that remote desktop. Fantastic system, very secure. It's got so many benefits to it when you're working on kind of large environments. But the difficulty in the offset there is the costs, because you've of course got to pay for all of those expenses, servers, all of the running costs, all of the software licensing costs, all of that stuff on there. So to have the actual virtual server side of things stuck into the cloud, into Microsoft Azure, massive benefits. It's going to be really, really huge from what I believe. So it's well worth just having a look at it, really. It actually comes as part of your 365 subscription if you just check out this page here. So you can go through what licenses are available. Most people, you do need to be on a Microsoft 365 license. So just to be clear here, the camera hasn't frozen again. Really need to fix that. There we go. So if you are on a Microsoft 365, not Office 365, but Microsoft 365, just to be clear, Office 365, you get things like the Office apps, the Microsoft Teams, you get the phone system side of things, you can get, what else, I'm completely going blank here, Microsoft Exchange as your email platform, Microsoft SharePoint as your data platform, OneDrive, OneNote, all of those kind of things. That is Office 365. Microsoft 365, you get so much more. You get things like all of the security and structure and kind of Active Directory-ness, which effectively replaces your on-site servers. So if you are in a company right now where you have a physical server in your office, then Microsoft 365 is where you will be looking to migrate to in the near future. As long as you get your apps off of that server and into the cloud, Microsoft 365 allows you to replace your server. It gives you full management control. You can apply group policies to all your PCs to stop people, saving things to their desktop or installing their own programs onto the machines. It allows you to lock everything down, but without having an actual server. So that's the difference between Office 365 and Microsoft 365. Two completely separate things. they've kind of just called them very similar things. And it's really confusing because Office 365, of course, is owned by Microsoft. So lots of people say Microsoft 365 and Office 365 interchangeably. Really confusing. Makes our life really easy. If you are running Microsoft 365, which is what we're talking about here, and if we switch back here, we've got Microsoft 365 E3 or E5 licenses, which are probably the most common licenses that businesses will have. Maybe the Microsoft 365 business license as well. But if you are already running these licenses, then you will be eligible to use Windows Virtual Desktop as part of that. And that doesn't mean you don't have to pay anything. Cool, that's happening every time I switch back, isn't it? That's useful. Let's fix that if we can do. I'm going to fix it. There we go. Technical issues we'll fix for next time. So if you are using Microsoft 365, it is included the Windows Virtual Desktop, but you actually have to pay for the running costs of the actual virtual machine that's running in the cloud. So the feature is free, but running the virtual machine you have to pay for. It is very, very low cost. You're talking, I don't want to get it wrong on live because that's really bad, but something along the lines of maybe a few pounds, £10 per month or something along those lines. Don't listen to me on that. But you can sign up for, say, a reserved instance, is what they're called on Azure, say a 3-year term, and that will actually give you like a 72% discount, it says on here, versus just paying as you go. So if you know you're going to commit to this Windows Virtual Desktop, sign up for a 3-year term, you can save 72% on your Azure costs for, it's called a reserved instance. So that is, and that's dropped out again. This is getting quite annoying, isn't it? So you can have a reserved instance, and that gets you a massive discount. So yeah, Windows Virtual Desktop, I feel, is probably one of the biggest things to come out of Microsoft recently. I mean, Microsoft Teams, of course, is their big focus at the moment, but Windows Virtual Desktop for small to medium businesses, because big enterprises have got the budget to have a server farm and do Citrix and all these kind of things. But the smaller medium businesses that could do from having a virtual desktop system where it doesn't matter where you logged onto, but you can actually get to your desktop from home, from work, from the office, from the train. It's got massive benefits for them. So that's something we're really, really interested to see how that goes in future. And that is really all I'm probably going to talk about today because, of course, we seem to have problems with it freezing, which is just frozen again, and that's just really frustrating. I'm going to flick off of that because that's obviously broken. But hey, there we go. Lessons learned. Lessons learned for the next one we're going to do. So we'll try and fix this whole freezing issue if we can do, because it's not best. It's not great. So yeah, again, thanks everybody for watching. We'll plumb out another video next week like we do, and in the meantime, I'm going to figure out how to stop this camera from freezing. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.